Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. I'm in Ohio right now. I just participated in an event by the Blackout Coalition for the film Black Friday, in which we talked about the importance of black people utilizing economic strategies in order to empower ourselves. This is very, very important. We talk about this a lot in the Black Wealth Boot Camp, that controlling money and stopping the flow of money in directions that we don't approve of is one of the most critical things we can do as a community. Economic fortification is one of the most important things you can pursue, which is the ability to protect yourself and those you love by making sure that you engage in strategies that lead to economic security, targeted spending, business and wealth creation, multiple streams of income, things like that. Basically, stuff that will keep your boss from being able to tell you what to do every day. That's the bottom line. Now, I was also in Kentucky this week for the pushing for Judge Olu Stevens, who stood up against the use of all-white juries. And I can just tell you from being on the ground that first of all the energy was tremendous. The people in that city were just ready to fight, and I was appreciative of that. The judge has told me that things are moving along. I get the sense that the pressure is helping. And here's the thing: if the Chief Justice rules in Judge Stevens' favor, then this could actually set a precedent. This will change the law in Kentucky, pretty much, not entirely, but remember the courts interpret the law. So that if their interpretation of the law rules in his favor, then that could be beneficial to everybody because studies show that when you add just one black juror to a jury, just one black juror, that eliminates nearly all of the difference in the racial disparity between conviction rates for whites and blacks, believe it or not. You can understand why prosecutors wouldn't like this because prosecutors want high conviction rates, and they use black people as the fodder or the pawns, if you will, to help them achieve this professional goal. So we are just their little playthings as they try to become attorney of the year or whatever it is that they're trying to do. Now, I want to talk real quick about the shooting of Laquan McDonald. It turns out that the week I was out of town, my city of Chicago has been very, very active on the shooting of Laquan McDonald, which I think is absolutely, absolutely entirely necessary. If you look at this situation, um, it, it's not surprising at all. Um, if you look at the history of Chicago in terms of corruption, Chicago is one of the most corrupt cities in the country, as far as large cities go. They were known for corruption. They've been known for cover-ups and things like that. In the shooting of Laquan McDonald, who was 17 years old, who was murdered by a police officer who unloaded 16 bullets into his body, which I didn't. If you watch this video, you're thinking, wait, why did you need the other 14 shots when he was on the ground? Right? It's absolutely unbelievable, appalling. Clearly, the shooter in this case, Jason Van Dyke, clearly he is mentally disturbed. He has issues, and clearly he should be prosecuted. That's done. There's no question about that. And his colleagues are even offering him up now at this point because they know they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. But here's what's so interesting to me. This case really shows you how bad the blue wall of silence can be, how much disregard uh, the power structure has for not just human life but also African American life in particular. The thinking in all of this, in the 13 months that it took them to even release the video, which they never would have released if they hadn't been forced to do so. Um, this video being sort of kept back. I mean, the fact that they handled this situation in the way that they did really tells you what you're looking at. It tells you that you're dealing with a system and a collective of individuals who are all engaged in one of the most egregious ongoing criminal conspiracies known to man. I mean, think about this. You have drug dealers like guys like Mario Lloyd who dealt drugs in the '80s, who's still in prison even though he was locked up in '88. He's got 14 life sentences, where they sent him and many of his relatives to prison, even though there were no murders on the thing. It was all about selling dope. You have this guy doing 14 life sentences for running what they considered in Chicago to be an ongoing criminal enterprise, right? An ongoing criminal, conspiracy. They get the conspiracy RICO charge and all that stuff. Well, what the hell is this that's going on with the Chicago Police Department? I mean, you had number one. First of all, the murder itself is shocking enough. I mean, that right there is appalling. But then you had several other officers on the scene who were complicit to this, who did not say a word, who did not, who didn't tell any. I mean, you're supposed to uphold the law and protect the American public. A member of the American public, an American citizen, has just been murdered right in front of you, and you don't even talk to anybody. You don't say anything to anybody. I don't know all the laws, but I'm wondering, if my friend murders somebody and I keep my mouth shut and then go help them get rid of the evidence, how many years in prison will I get for doing that? Because right after this is over, they go over to the Burger King where there's a video. They check out the video, which then disappears, right? And so for 13 months, you have all this evidence of a homicide that nobody gets to see. It's hard to convince me on any level that people in the mayor's office, all the way at the top, were not made aware of this. They certainly were made aware, I'm sure, as they got closer to the date where they were going to have to release this tape, because they knew that the city would pretty much be shut down. Um, I'm just looking at this, and I'm just thinking about the double standard here. The double standard. I mean, if any of us did the same things these officers did, we would all be in prison right now. We would all be on our way to jail. And here's the other thing too that you got to understand is that for every one time you find out about this, there's probably about 100 times they've done this, and nobody's been prosecuted for anything. Nobody's been held accountable. Nobody even lost their job. No one was even reprimanded for this. You've had thousands of citizens file complaints against the police department. Many of those complaints get thrown into the trash. And so anybody out here who doesn't understand why people don't trust the police, this is a perfect example, because this situation really is a microcosm of what people see. And again, my father was a cop, for a long time. And so I can have respect for officers that try to do the right thing, but the problem is that the system is so dysfunctional and so corrupt that even officers who try to do the right thing are going to be oppressed and bullied by officers who are committed to doing the wrong thing. I mean, because as much as we want to criminalize and penalize, which deservedly so, the officers who were there and helped cover up the evidence and didn't say anything, which I think they all should be prosecuted, not just Van Dyke. Understand that if any of them had spoken up, the question is what would have happened to them. Would one of their fellow officers roll up and make sure that they didn't come home that night? Would they be fired? They'd probably be fired. They definitely would be ostracized and mistreated by their colleagues. All these things are symptomatic of a structural and systemic problem. And so here's what they're going to do. Here's what they're going to continue to try to do. They're going to try to continue they're basically folding their cards and saying, okay, you got us. We are so sorry. Here's $5 million to the McDonald family, which they just approved like that, which was basically just money to get them to be quiet. Because remember, after they gave them the money, they didn't release the video or anything. They just gave them the money and was like, okay, let's make this go away, right? So this is hush money. So they've paid the family off to try to eliminate it that way. They hid the video, and so they're coming back, to the American public with this very simple narrative. Um, our bad. This one guy that we're throwing out to you, that we hate him as much as you do. This one guy lost it and decided to unload a bunch of bullets into he wasn't unarmed, but he wasn't a threat based on the video. If you watch the video, you'll see this. We're gonna hand you this one guy who's responsible for this one egregious act, and we will join you in prosecuting this guy and making sure that he goes away. That's not the solution. That's not going to work. Because what you're doing is you're exonerating all the corrupt cops who supported him and covered up that evidence. You're exonerating everybody all the way up to the mayor's office who participated in a systematic cover up that led to an incredibly severe violation of human and civil rights. And what you really want to do, in my opinion, is you want to look beyond Laquan McDonald. You want to look beyond one incident and really look at two things: the system itself at large, all the people involved. So go wide, don't go narrow in your thinking, and then go long chronologically and ask yourself, how many hundreds of times has something like this happened and the cover up actually worked? This cover up almost worked. They almost got away with this murder. They almost got away with this ongoing criminal enterprise and this conspiracy that they've been committing against the city of Chicago for the last X number of years. They almost got away with this again. You almost didn't have anything to protest about in the street right now if you are out there protesting. So don't look at it's what we used to call in economics, we call it a shadow cost. Don't look at what you see. Think about what you don't see. The devil is not in what you know. The devil is in what you don't know and what you don't know that you don't know. That's the iceberg. This is the tip. This isn't even the tip. This is the tip of the tip of the iceberg. So think bigger, think broad, think deep chronologically, and really go further than this one incident because there's excuse me. Believe me, there's a whole lot more to this than meets the eye. I can guarantee you that much. The other thing I'm real curious about is I'm wondering, Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of the city, I'm wondering how protected he's going to be by, say, the Obama administration. I mean, Rahm is Obama's buddy. Rahm is part of this conspiracy, this ongoing criminal enterprise. He should be not just fired, but also prosecuted for his role in all of this. No different from the way Joe Paterno got his legacy destroyed because he was letting somebody molest little boys in the football locker room up at Penn State, right? You know, the question is Rahm Emanuel going to be held accountable? I don't know. I know that the Negroes down on the south side and the west side that are voting for him, you might want to reconsider what you're doing. I don't care how much money he paid your black preacher to get you to vote for him. You might want to reconsider that a little bit. The other game changer in this that I just think is absolutely beautiful, that I love seeing, is the understanding of the importance of tying in the annihilation or the undermining of economic interests into the protests. A lot of the protests took place right there on Michigan Avenue in the Magnificent Mile, the uppity part of the city where you got all the money, all these stores that 99.9% of us can't afford to shop in. And people were right there protesting. They were blocking the doors. They were saying, we're going to disrupt your ability to go on with business as usual because we're not going to accept this behavior. That is a huge game changer. Because remember, the majority of the power in America that's held by those who run this country is economic power. There was a reason why Osama and his crew decided to hit the World Trade Center at 9 a.m. They did that because they said if we undermine the economic power of this country, then we'll cripple them. Right now, I'm not condoning what happened on that day, but what I am saying is, and none of these people in the streets are terrorists. They're not hurting anybody. But what I am saying is, it's okay to go for those economic interests. I think that absolutely positively will almost always get the attention of anybody that you're trying to get to. If you're just yelling and screaming and barking and marching and rallying and praying, they ain't gonna pay no attention to you. In fact, they laugh at you. They love the fact that you're so peaceful, and they encourage you to be peaceful because it's in their interest for you to be peaceful. They thank you for being peaceful, right? But when you undercut that money, everything changes. Everything changes. You get a lot more done a lot faster. So I just want to commend everybody who is standing up on this issue. I really hated the fact I'm in the city a lot, and I hated the fact that I happened to be in Kentucky with the Judge Olu Stevens thing, and I had to go to Ohio right during this time. I say, oh my gosh, I should be there, but at the same time, I want to lend my support and say this is beautiful in terms of how people are standing up. But remember, don't let them lead you to focus your energy on the tip of the iceberg. Go investigate the iceberg itself. That's where your problem is. And if you want to fix a system, if you want to fix something for future generations, for other people, you got to deal with that system. That system's so corrupt. The war on drugs especially has ruined many police departments around the country. It has indoctrinated them into a way of thinking that is focused on brutality, the consistent violation of civil and human rights, the mistreatment of people, especially people of color, especially poor people. And they've always been led to believe they can get away with it. Massive amounts of corruption. There are lots of drug dealers who can tell you stories about cops who stole their money. They've become the biggest gang in the city of Chicago. You can talk about the gangster disciples and all this stuff, but in some situations, in many situations, the Chicago Police Department acts like a street gang. I'm not saying everybody's like that though. That's the other thing too. I'm not going to go in that direction of saying all cops are horrible, all cops should be killed. I don't feel that way. I'm sorry, I don't feel that way. But what I will say is that when you get some of these cops that are just not balanced mentally, or feel they can get away with anything, or know they've got an all-white jury that's going to tell them that everything they did was okay, that's going to give them the benefit of the doubt no matter what, even when they don't deserve it, then you create a street gang. You create people that pretty much bully the citizens of that city, and that's entirely unacceptable. I'd also like to see the hiring record of this officer. What was it? Was there anything in his record at all that indicated this guy was absolutely an absolute lunatic? Because when you unload that many bullets, chances are you got some sort of psychological issue. You maybe, I don't know if he was scared or crazy or what, but or didn't like black people. From what I understand, I think that there were complaints against him in the past. Why wasn't anything done about that? All these things are questions that need to be answered, and I really think an independent investigation is called for. You can't let the fox investigate the chicken coop, right? You can't let the Chicago PD investigate itself. You can't have corrupt officials in the state of Illinois, not even the city of Chicago. I'm talking about the state of Illinois. Corrupt officials in the state of Illinois investigating this incident. You need outside federal investigators. But even the crazy thing is that even then, Rahm Emanuel has these ties to the Obama administration, which I don't know how that all that works all the time, but it just makes you wonder. Can we ever really get justice on this? Can we get justice? Oh, I know justice is being done in the streets when brothers are out there standing in front of Neiman Marcus and saying you can't shop here today because we got business to take care of. That's the type of justice I can believe in. So anyway, that's it. I just wanted to talk to you guys for a second about that. It was on my mind this morning. I'm about to teach the Black Wealth Boot Camp. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.